Puerto Rico enacts a law that identifies unborn babies as people from the moment of conception. Pro-lifers are calling the move, quote, a landmark achievement. Republican Governor Jennifer Gonzalez signed the measure last month. It was part of Senate Bill 504, which states every human being is a natural person, including the conceived child at any stage. Another law signed last month says a crime against a pregnant woman that results in the death of the unborn child will be considered first-degree murder. Abortion remains legal in Puerto Rico if the mother's life and health are in danger. Still, pro-lifers are praising the recent measures. Carol Tobias from National Right to Life says in a statement, quote, Puerto Rico's clear and courageous recognition of preborn babies as persons reflects a deep respect for life and provides a powerful example for lawmakers throughout the United States. EWTN's National Catholic Register also praised the move by Puerto Rico. In a recent op-ed piece, it said in part, quote, the new legislation has no effect on local abortion law. Any change would require new legislation or judicial action. However, Puerto Rican pro-lifers are confident that over time, this pro-life seed will germinate into widespread recognition that abortion must be banned there. For more, we turn to Alfonso Aguilar, Senior Director of Government Affairs at Defending Education and a Puerto Rican-American. Alfonso, it's great to have you.
Always a pleasure to be with you.
So how and why did this pro-life push in Puerto Rico begin?
Well, Puerto Ricans are pro-life. They've always been very pro-life, pro-family. So for many years, they were trying to do something, but they found all sort of political roadblocks. But then finally, I think things gelled. And we have a governor now who's a Republican and pro-life. And we have some great legislators, and they worked on this creative, innovative idea to amend the civil code of Puerto Rico and recognize that the unborn, the baby that hasn't yet been born, is a person, a natural and legal person. And that means so much in terms of changing the culture. This is not just a clump of cells. This is a individual subject to rights, with rights. He'll be the unborn now can receive different types of benefits under Puerto Rican family law, inheritance. So it does also have some important legal consequences. Now, it doesn't change the law in Puerto Rico about abortion, which is regulated by the penal code. And abortion is allowed in Puerto Rico when the life and health of the mother is at risk and under authorization from a doctor. But I think what this law will do is restrict how abortion is understood under that definition of the criminal code of Puerto Rico. So I think it will be limited as the legal system understands that we're dealing here with an individual. So hopefully this will put us in track to eventually totally ban abortion.
Indeed. And what has been the response on the ground? Are most people supportive of the new bill?
Absolutely. It has been great. You haven't seen any demonstrations against it. I mean, there are some groups financed from the mainland that are trying to make a lot of noise, but frankly, nobody's paying attention to them because, as I've said, Puerto Rico, abortion in Puerto Rico, even with the law allowing it, is very rare because people are for life. But obviously, just one life being taken is enough, right? So I think Puerto Ricans are very happy. They're embracing it. And I think, what a great way to start, the year with this law. And it's not only this law, they also passed another law which typifies as first-degree murder an assault on a pregnant woman that leads to the death of the unborn child. Again, creating conscience about the dignity of the human person who hasn't been born. This is fantastic, and I think a creative way to lead us to an environment in Puerto Rico where we can actually ban this terrible practice.
Do you think there's particular tips they can take away from this as lawmakers on Capitol Hill or at the U.S. state level look to Puerto Rico to enact similar laws?
Right. Well, I think every state is difficult or different, I should say. I haven't looked in specific states how they regulate abortion. So I think first of all, look at what Puerto Rico did with changing the civil code, and see if you can do something similar in your state. I think every strategy, incremental strategy to defend life is different. It depends on the legal circumstances of the jurisdiction of the state or the federal level. Remember, Puerto Rico is a civil law country. That's why we still have a civil code, which it comes from that civil law tradition comes from Spain. Louisiana has a civil code as well, but other states are different. So each case is different, but I think that there are perhaps ways that the Puerto Rican model can be followed in other states, again, to change the culture and change also the legal the laws to ensure that life is respected.
Amen. And Alfonso, we only have about 30 seconds left, but are there any other pro-life stories that you think we should be following?
Well, I think in Puerto Rico, there's even yet another bill, which I think it's important because it recognizes the dignity of the human person, of children. We passed a law also in Puerto Rico that prohibits giving access to minors to sex change operations, surgeries, and hormonal therapies. That's very important as well because it recognized that we need to protect children. So you're seeing a series of laws in Puerto Rico under this conservative governor and conservative legislature to move Puerto Rico to a life-affirming, family-affirming culture. And I think that is very positive for Puerto Rico and for the rest of the country. So I thank you for bringing attention to what's happening in Puerto Rico, because Puerto Rico is a U.S. territory. It's part of the United States. A lot of people sometimes think that Puerto Rico is kind of liberal. It's not. Puerto Rico is very conservative, very pro-family, very pro-life. And I think we have a lot to learn from our fellow citizens in the island.
Amen. Well, Alfonso, it was such a pleasure. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.